men and women both tend to go for people who are 25% more attractive than they are.
The dating landscape has changed drastically. More people are meeting their partners and forming romantic relationships online. And according to a survey by the Pew Research Center, over half of under 30s have used an online dating platform in search of a partner. It's more time effective and requires less effort. And to be honest, it's much safer physically and emotionally to set up a profile on Tinder, Bumble or Hinge and have access to an unlimited number of people to date. And you'd think it would be easier to find your person, but it doesn't necessarily work like that. Just because the algorithm is giving you more of what it thinks you want doesn't mean you are necessarily getting what you need. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the truth behind why you might be struggling with online dating. And more importantly, I'm going to tell you how to change that.
Online dating gives us access to an unlimited number of people we could potentially date. And it's honestly an overwhelming amount of choice for anybody to contend with. So even if you find somebody that you match with, you might think that there's somebody out there who's better for you, somebody who's taller, more attractive, richer, more interesting, so you don't settle. And you put less effort into the matches you already have, you put less effort into your interactions, and you keep looking for that unicorn, that golden goose who ultimately doesn't actually exist. And you end up with nobody. Research has suggested that online dating can actually lead to a phenomenon known as the choice overload, which is when people have too many options, it can lead to negative consequences such as decision fatigue, confusion, and a sense of being overwhelmed, which then leads to poorer decision making and less satisfaction with the final choice. A 2020 study by Pronk and Dissonen found that for both men and women, having a higher number of partner choices led to an increase in rejection of those potential partners. And they also noted a 27% decrease in chance of acceptance from the first partner to the last partner option. And in the same study, they found a decline in satisfaction with the pictures they were presented with and perceived dating success. So the more options they were presented with, the less they were satisfied and the more rejection potential partners received. All in all, swiping endlessly makes it harder for you to narrow down your options and ultimately find somebody that you are compatible with. The next reason why online dating might not be working for you is your unrealistic expectations. Online profiles are a way of people portraying an idealized version of themselves. We see the perfect pictures, the amazing vacations, the witty bios, and we start to fantasize about a fairy-like connection with somebody we don't know. And then we engage in intense and rapid communication, and we start to feel like we know the person on the other end of the phone. But here's the reality check. Nobody is that perfect. Relationships and healthy relationships take time to develop. When it comes to the unrealistic expectations, research has shown that men and women both tend to go for people who are 25% more attractive than they are. And I'm not saying the attractive guy is not going to approach you or that you shouldn't approach them. I'm just saying be more realistic and aim for the people who are similar in attractiveness to yourself or similar in attractiveness to the people that you've dated previously, instead of shooting for the stars and ending up with nobody in the end. And in another study by the Pew Research Center, they found that although both men and women equally say they use these platforms to meet their long-term partners, they also found more men than women say they use these platforms to find casual hookups. Honestly, online dating profiles are an opportunity for somebody to tell a story that they want to tell and not necessarily the truth. So approach dating on these platforms with realistic expectations and an open mind. Give somebody a chance to show you who they really and truly are outside of this digital facade that they're putting up. Another reason why you might be struggling with online dating is misrepresentation. Unfortunately, online dating opens up the door for misrepresentation. In the age of filters and editing apps and AI, Airbnb and car rentals that we all have access to, people are going to take advantage in hopes of portraying the image that they think people want in order to get dates or get hookups. Some people might use outdated photos, provide false information, and be deceptive about their intentions while using these apps. A study by Thoma and Hancock found that while men lie about their salaries and their education on these dating apps, apps, women are more likely to lie about their weight and their appearance. But what is consistent with both men and women is that they portray themselves as having the qualities that they think and feel the opposite gender wants. So it's important to be aware of this and take everything you see online with a grain of salt. And if something feels off or feels too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true, and you need to investigate that. In the age of romance scams and catfishes, you don't want to end up as a victim. So be aware and be vigilant. As women, when we want information, we can find the information we want. So be that investigator and make sure the person you're interested in is actually the person they say they are. And finally, the type of app you're using might be the biggest obstacle to you finding success on these dating platforms. Now, we know some apps like Tinder and Grindr are known as hookup apps. And I'm not saying it's going to be impossible for you to find a serious relationship or a partner on these apps. I'm just saying it's going to be harder. So it's important to know the type of app that you're using and to get on the right app. And secondly, the majority of online dating users are men. So there's bound to be gender differences in dating intentions, usage, conduct, and the overall experience when using these apps. For instance, one study found that men tend to have a more positive experience and outcome when using these dating sites. And another study found that women are more likely to use these dating apps to find a long-term partner, a serious relationships, while men are more likely to use these dating apps for casual hookups. And when it comes to the overall experience when using these apps, another study found that 75% of women report receiving too many messages from men, while only 42% of men reported receiving the same. And it just makes the whole dating experience more negative and less enjoyable for them. Now that I've shared some of the reasons you might be struggling with online dating, here are the strategies that you can implement to improve your online dating experience and increase your chances of getting a successful relationship out of online dating. So the first thing you need to do is to get on the right app. As I've said, some apps like Tinder are known as hookup apps, and I'm not saying it's impossible to form a successful relationship. It's just going to be harder. Whereas apps like Bumble, Hinge, and eHarmony are geared towards relationship. So getting on the right app is the first step that you need to take. As a woman, you need to get off apps that are heavily gender skewed, especially apps that are predominantly used by men. And also research has shown that specialized apps that are based on religion, ethnicity, gender, or romantic orientation have a higher chance of leading to a more successful and stable relationship, because those app users have a shared interest, they have shared characteristics. So find what it is that you're interested in, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a religion, or your background, and find apps that are geared towards that, because you're more likely to have success on them because of that shared foundation. The next strategy is to present yourself honestly. Remember, the people you're talking to, you hope to meet eventually in real life. So it only benefits you to be honest and real about yourself and present yourself in an honest manner. In fact, a 2011 study by Gibbs et al. Found that people who presented themselves honestly on these dating sites had higher levels of relationship satisfaction than people who presented themselves deceptively. So it really pays to be yourself. It really pays to be honest, use less editing apps, and provide more accurate information. I'm not saying tell your whole life story. I'm not saying share your personal, intimate details. I'm just saying be more honest and come as you are. Now, I know this one is going to be a controversial one, ladies, but hear me out. I know we're not supposed to traditionally, but if you want to be successful on these dating apps, you're going to have to consider making the first move. Research shows that although 80% of interactions are initiated by men, women only respond back to about 20% of them or less. But apps like Bumble are starting to address this. Firstly, there's a more equal balance of both men and women using this app, so it's off to a good start when it comes to gender proportions. And secondly, only women can initiate the first conversation, so they make the first move. They are in control of the messages they're receiving and the people they're interacting with, which makes it safer and more enjoyable for them. Some research is already showing that although women are 4 times less likely than men to send messages, when they initiate the first contact, they're more likely to end up with desirable partners than women who wait to be contacted. So it benefits you to reach out, to make the first move. I'm not saying you have to reach out to every single person and you always have to put yourself out there, because I understand rejection doesn't feel good and you don't want to put yourself on the line and be rejected. But if you see somebody that you're interested in and you think you are matched, you have realistic expectations, and you have shared interests, then it doesn't hurt for you to reach out to them. Send that initial message, but don't do the chasing, don't do all the work. Send that initial message, show them that you're interested, and see where it goes. And finally, ladies, be more selective. Desperation for a connection or a relationship is not going to serve you. You have to be intentional with your dating, so read the profiles thoroughly. Do your interests align? Do your values align? Do you have a shared foundation? You don't have to date every single person who reaches out to you. You don't have to show interest. You don't have to respond. Be selective in who you are choosing to have access to you. And that's why I appreciate apps like Bumble, because it gives the woman the control. There's that level of safety and security that it affords you that you don't necessarily have on other apps. So be more vigilant, investigate who you are dating with. I know women, we are investigators. When we want to find out information, we will find out. So use this dating experience. We will find out. So do the same with your dating experience. Now, I hope you found this information useful and you use these strategies in your dating experience to improve your chances of making a successful connection on these dating platforms. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot with the algorithms, as we were talking about algorithms earlier. It helps me a lot. And share your experiences, your dating experiences online. Have I missed out any strategies that have worked really well to improve your chances of meeting someone? Share them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.